Welcome back. Today I thought we would cook one of our family favourite dishes, and actually it was a favourite with our clients, a dish called lamb Youvetsi. My kids love it. I've shared the recipe with so many friends and family. I thought it's got to be top of my list of things to cover with you guys. So basically it's a Cypriot, I think, Greek Cypriot dish of baked lamb, slow cooked lamb with orzo in a kind of tomatoey, cinnamony sauce. So I've done no prep because I wanted to illustrate, hopefully within 15 minutes, because I need to go on the school run, how quick and easy this dish is to put together. I'm going to do the slow cooked element of it now, and then I'm going to chuck in some orzo later, which I will do with you guys, but by that point I will have 3 noisy children running around. So first of all, I've got this old, fairly knackered casserole dish, but it's still going strong, so we'll use that. Let me just turn the extractor off. I'm going to turn that up high, and whilst I prep my veg, I'm going to cook my lamb. So I'm just going to cut the pepper in half and cut it into long strips. Take the seeds out, but also any white kind of membrane, because that can be a bit bitter. For the lamb, I went to the butcher. We've got an amazing butcher for anybody local. It's called Woods in North Camp. They're so good, and I would absolutely, if you can, buy your meat from the butcher, because you just get better quality. And then even if you're on a budget, and in fairness, meat is so expensive at the moment, everything's so expensive at the moment, you can just buy a little bit less. They can give you exactly the quantity that you need. And also, like today, we took it straight off of the shoulder, so I was like, oh, can I have bones please? Because I thought I'll chuck those in, they'll add flavour and also some goodness. So anyway, I cut my pepper like this, just into really fairly chunky strips. You could outsource that to your children if they're keen to help. Same with the onion. I'm just going to top and tail it, cut it in half, and cut it into long, skinny strips. If you've got fussy children that don't like chunky veg, feel free to cut it much finer. So this pan, I can hear it crackling, it's really hot. So I'm going to turn it down a wee bit, put some olive oil in the pan, a good glug, and then, this is my lamb, if I can show you quickly. They've diced it for me. I'm going to get steamy. But I always say, keep it fairly chunky, the dice. I'm going to throw that in. Just grab I would always say to everybody, but previously when we were giving cooking lessons, I'd always say to clients, don't be afraid of the heat. You can see how hot that is. And actually, I'm going to turn it back up to number 8. If I was on gas, I'd be on maximum heat right now. And always make sure that your pan is really hot before you put your oil in, especially if you're using good olive oil, because you don't want it to burn. But you do want that meat to sizzle when it goes in the pan, because that will, it will seal the meat, but it'll also give you that lovely flavour. I was going to say like a barbecue flavour, but not quite barbecue, you know what I mean though. Seared meat, crispy bacon, seared steak, crispy roast chicken is always so much more tasty than if it hasn't been seared properly. So whilst that's going, I'm going to chop up my onion. So again, I've not done anything fancy, fairly haphazardly chopped, and that is totally fine. And then some garlic. So you can add 1 clove or you can add 6 cloves. It's completely up to you. I will add a good 3 or 4 cloves. I think it's good for us. A good tip with garlic, just take it like that. Take the hard bit of your hand there, or you can thump it with a rolling pin and just press it and then the peel should just come off quite easily. Okay, and then I think I'm just going to chop that garlic because it's going to be slow cooked. If I was adding it to a finer sauce or something, then I'd get the garlic crusher out. Or if I was making lots, and you could batch cook this, so you could make lots of it, then I would again get the crusher out, just because I'm lazy, or anything to speed things up, you know. Right, so that's browning quite nicely there. I'm going to add in a good, I don't know if you can see that, good pinch of salt. I say a pinch lightly, like more like a teaspoon of Maldon. And I would, this sounds, I don't mean it in a fancy way, but I would always buy decent quality salt. I would always buy decent quality olive oil. And what was I going to say? And use grindy pepper, as I call it. Don't bother with the shaky pepper. It's just not as nice. So that is getting quite nicely browned. I will show it to the camera in a minute. I will put a bit of extraction on because otherwise you're not going to see me. Right, so I'm going to grab a dish to put that in. So you don't have to worry about the lamb being cooked right now. You just want it to be browned in places. Doesn't matter if it's not cooked through. It's going to get cooked through in a minute. This is really just to add a bit of flavour. Okay, so I'm going to tip that into, or you can just spoon it out. I'm just trying to be quick. Tip that into a bowl. And then into there, I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil. Like that. I'm going to chuck in my onions and my peppers and my garlic. Just be careful that your garlic doesn't burn. Oh no, sorry, I haven't chopped the garlic. I'm not going to add that. I'm going to take it out and I'm going to chop it and then add it in. Right. So again, it's nothing, I've not chopped it particularly fine. And again, if you prefer, use your crusher or you can grate it. So, I'm just going to pause the video and give that like 5 minutes just to kind of sweat down a little bit. If you're pushed for time though, you could just skip to the next step. Okay, so my veggies are now a little bit softer. Just to take that rawness away from the garlic really. You can see the bottom of my pan is quite dirty and sticky. It's not actually dirty, just from what we've been cooking just now. And that is totally fine, don't be put off by that. That will all add flavour into essentially what will be the stew part. So I am going to tip my lamb, and that is how brown it was. So it's not massively brown, but just singed in places. And tip that back in. I have got 500 mils of stock, however much pasta, however much orzo you want to add double the volume in stock or in liquid. So I'm going to add half a pack of orzo, so 250 grams. So I'm going to do 500 grams or 500 mils of stock. And I will put all the quantities and the recipe in the comments, so don't worry about making notes or anything. So I'm just going to roughly stir that. I don't suppose for 1 minute it will dissolve, especially not under pressure. Put that in the pan like that, chuck it in, And then a tin of tomatoes. Again, try and buy good quality tomatoes. Like I said, I think with the ragu recipe, if you buy cheap, you just end up using twice as many quite often, I find. And actually, usually I'll just swill this out with a bit of hot water and chuck it in as well. Then into there, if I can find it, I'm just going to add a cinnamon stick, or this was half of a big cinnamon stick. Throw that in. Bring it up to the boil. At this stage, well, not a rapid boil, but just bring it up to kind of simmering point. You can see it's just a very sloppy stew, which is fine. That's what you want. I'm going to put that in the oven. You can either leave it on the hob for an hour and a half on very, very low, but then be careful that your bottom doesn't go sticky or doesn't catch. I'm going to stick it in the oven on 160, 170 degrees Celsius, so about gas 3, 4, for about an hour and a half. And then at that point, or after that point, you can either take it out and finish it off much later, which I will probably do because we don't eat until about 7. But then when you're ready to eat, just bring it back up to just simmering point, and we'll add in the orzo and the halloumi later. But I'll talk you through that later anyway. See you later. Hi. So I took this out of the oven probably an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. It had a good 2.5 hours in the oven. So longer than it really needed, but I was out on the school run and then kids' haircuts and whatnot. So anyway, the meat in here is super tender. I wonder if I can show you. If I can you see it? It easily breaks, really easily breaks. Also, I meant to say, I chucked in the lamb bone just as I put it in the oven that I got from the butcher. So I'm going to remove that now, and all I'm going to do, because it had a little bit extra time in the oven, the amount of moisture in the pan will have reduced slightly. So if I can show you what it looks like now. It's still fairly moist, and yeah, it's a very wet stew at the moment. Still, I'm going to add a little bit more. This is only a tiny little cup. I'm going to add like 100, 120 mils extra water in there, just because I know the kids would rather have a wetter dish anyway. But it's not supposed to be a wet dish. It's not particularly saucy. Kind of a pilaf consistency. And then of a 500 gram package of orzo, I have measured out, although you could just freestyle it, which is what I would normally do, but for the purpose of this video, I've measured out a generous 300, 350 grams or milliliter measure of orzo. So I'm going to chuck that in the pan like that, carefully kind of shimmy it through, shake it through. Only because my lamb is so tender, it's going to fall apart, which is no bad thing, in fairness. I'm going to leave the cinnamon stick in there. That doesn't offend me one tiny bit. And then in here, I've grated, it was only a small block, it was like 200 grams. You could use half if you wanted to be more economical. I'm going to add the whole lot because I love cheese. I am going to sprinkle this all over the top. Like that, and then I'm just going to press pause and go and grab the mint. 1 second. Sorry about that. I am going to sprinkle over some dried mint. I think it works really nicely with both lamb and halloumi. Just eyeball it, but you can also add rosemary. Is really nice. I've used that before. Fresh rosemary especially is really, really nice. Or dried oregano, or nothing, just keep it as it is. And then I'm going to pop that back in the oven as it is without the lid on for about 20-25 minutes, just until it's beginning to brown on top and the orzo is fully hydrated, basically fully cooked through. So I will do one final shot of the finished dish in about 20 minutes. So you don't need to see my face anymore, but you do need to see this. This is the Youvetsi. It's had 25 minutes in the oven and it's looking delicious. I'm serving our Youvetsi with 2 stir-fried greens because I'm me.
Where are you sitting? Are you choose where you want to sit?